Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 256. Today is Sunday, December 9th, 2018, and I'm glad you could join me today. It has been, what it be, a busy couple of days. So I am recording way later than usual, so we'll see how long this episode ends up being. It is getting a little bit too close to my bedtime here. But would it be? Stuff had to get done, so I did it. and there was some fun too today, so it wasn't like it was terrible. Terrible? Oh, that's like, come along for the ride. So, probably the aftermath of this project will only be shown via a photo on Instagram. But what if we were the work schedule for Christmas ends up being a somewhat earlier time than the, like your traditional time for Christmas, because a lot of people take 2 weeks off. So I actually got triple booked on Thursday. It was ridiculous. And I ended up going to the party that I planned, which was for the Society of Women Engineers. But then I have a department Christmas get-together that is happening next Thursday. That's for lunch, though. We will have festive fajitas, and I will make guacamole. Last year we had a gingerbread house decorating contest, which I suppose was reasonably festive. We were put on teams that were our work group, so I ended up, with my coworkers, and we did a gingerbread house that was themed like work. This year they decided to mix it up and sort of, have people from different groups work together. So our vision is to have and the other thing is that we were given top hats to decorate, and we were given $10 in Hobby Lobby, or a $10 Hobby Lobby gift card. For some reason, I ended up in charge of buying the crap. And it turned out that I could have bought more crap at Hobby Lobby to decorate the hat with, because everything was on sale. It was reasonably busy. Everything was on sale. It would have been so much easier had I actually known the value of the stuff in my hands. But whatever. I got, so our vision for this top hat is steampunk projector. So it is going to have gears and film stuff, and we're going to have a projector mounted on top, because that is what we do, is we make spatial light modulators that control the colors you see on the screen. We have a bunch of scrap material that we could hot glue upon our thing. I got a festive sparkle feather and something that sort of looks like a holly bush sort of thing. I will also include some sprigs from the ridiculous Christmas tree. 13.5 feet of Christmas tree. No one will notice that I took some chunks off for festiveness. So, I am knitting a hatband for this in mostly steampunk colors, and I am using it as a way to use up my acrylic scraps, and I'm doing a fantastic job of that. So, I might have even used up the oldest remaining yarn in my stash, which was some wool from a project that I knit my friend Brenna back in 2003. Way back, kids, way back. So I actually learned how to knit, about this time in 2002. My grandmother came out to visit and she taught my sisters how to knit, and then I went to my mom afterwards like, I want to knit too. So she taught me how to knit and purl, and then I could never remember how to cast on or cast off. It took a couple of projects until I got to that point. But one of my very early projects was that I knit a scarf for a friend, and it included some of this gray yarn in it. So, as you do, apparently. So that's all gone now. There isn't any more. And that was, 16-year-old yarn? I'll have to take a picture of this for the, whatever. I think we have like a stash busting thread in one of the groups that I'm in, so that amused me. The main color of this is the brown that I used to knit the turtle costume. So, not too crazy. So my hope is that with this remaining yarn, and then I'm hoping that I can get a little of this yellow in there too, I will have used up a lot of the remaining yarn in here. I have no clue whether or not I'd even have enough to knit anything more with what remains. So this is going to be a hat band. It's going to go around the hat, and we can stick things in it and attach things and what have you. And then it will look appropriately steampunky and make it look like it's supposed to. So I'm just glad that it's getting out of my stash. Basically. So hopefully it's not too much more in order to do. It seems like I'm slowly but surely adding on the edges, but pretty soon I'm going to run out of this brown color. So I cast it on today. I am single for the week. I sent my husband off to the airport, so I was knitting. I cast this on as we were driving to the airport, because it was just easier to drop them off. So I managed to get pretty far on this, all things considered. So I will have probably used up all of the black yarn by the end of this, and hopefully the yellow, and if need be I can finish it off with brown on both ends, but whatever. It won't be too crazy. So I'll put a picture on Instagram with what we end up finishing. I made a wise decision in getting glittery fabric paint, and that is the perfect steampunk ridiculous color. So hopefully that'll turn out well. And a lot of it just has to do with whatever generic silliness. So if I pull on it a little bit, it's long enough, but this is not a very sturdy hat, so I will hopefully get as far as I can get on this, and call it good. What I really worked on this week was my hat. So I am knitting a replacement hat for the handspun hat I lost, what was it, last year, more or less. There's record that I had it in September, and then it was definitely missing the next time it got cold in October. literally like just one cool day, and that was the end of it. So, give me a moment to rearrange things. I am very, very close to being done with this. Had I been working on this instead of my ridiculous hat, I probably would have already been done, but whatever. So I have to laugh a little bit because it does seem like the proportion of red, to blue is a little bit off. And you can see in the lights, I think reasonably well here. We can make this more flat. You can see the color blocks that are going on. This should be more of a rich purple color, but what would it be? Violet doesn't capture very well on this webcam, so we can have perfect grays, browns, and flesh tones, but when it comes to dual tones, it just fails, even with the enhanced lighting. So I am very, very close. How close, you say? This is how much yarn I have left. So I'm planning on using all the yarn. It hasn't changed color in a while. I don't know if that's just the case where it just had way more red and maybe blue than the purpley colors, but I am happy with how it's turning out so far. It may be a little bit looser than I'd like on the top, but it's not going to bother me that much. It appears to be a proper hat size. Had like 90 grams and whatever, 200-ish, maybe closer to 300, but not actually 300 yards of yarn, and I'm knitting it on US 1.5 needles, which I believe is 2.5 millimeter. I bought a piece last night. The receipt is all over the place. So close to being done. My ball fell apart, so I ended up Nasta pinning this to get it to be more contained. So I'm very, very close. Had I not decided to make a hat band, I probably would be done. And something that I barely worked on today, or today would be a lie. Something I barely worked on, but did decide things, was my breathing space. And you'd be like, well, Molly, what's going on here? I forgot to bring my knitting needle set with me to knit night, so I cast on however many stitches I want. I cast on the number of stitches I wanted. And then I left it at that. So I decided that I wanted to change the neckline on this. So it was the case where I don't think I have the right number of stitches. I guess I didn't check that. Pretty sure it's the right number. So I decided that I wanted to have a slightly tighter neckline on this. So sat down and sort of figured out with like rough guesstimates of my row gauge and stitch gauge that what I really wanted to have was 4 more raglan rows. It does seem really, really small though right now. I was like, will this go around my head? Does it seem... I might, looking at this right now, because I do have it reasonably well spaced, I feel like I would have trouble getting this over my head, so I may actually do 8 more stitches to make this fit a little bit better, which I could do right now. While I am in a deciding mood, because yeah, this looks this looks a little too small. I just didn't want it to be quite as boat necky as it was in the pattern. I figured that that was going to be the easiest way to implement that change, because the beginning of the sweater is a color block. And yeah, okay. So now that I've added 8 more stitches, that should have given me an inch and some. Well, we shall see. I don't know. Perhaps I am not giving the knitting credit where credit's due. So hopefully that'll be sort of a better size. But because I didn't have the right cable with me, I wasn't able to start working it around. I didn't really want a seam or anything like that. So that seemed to be the easiest path, was to get it started and then go from there. So the plan will be to get this onto a different cable so I can start working in the round, and at some point I'll probably switch back to this cable because it's probably the right size. I am going with figured out what size I'm knitting based upon my gauge. Happy with the swatch, just need to get this onto the right size needle. It should be good to go. And then what would it be? I might end up doing something where after I get the ribbing done, then I'll probably do like a spot check and make sure it does go over my neck nicely. But it seems to be a little bit hard to judge right now, so not too worried about that. So one thing that I wanted to show you guys last week, but did not have all sorts of leaves that I did not have with me, was my blocked Pop Sizzle. So I blocked this really hard. It isn't quite my wingspan when I stretch it, but it is actually long enough to wear as a kerchief now. So I have not yet worn it out, but I am much happier with it now that it's blocked. So pretty amazing that, here, this is the purple side. It's pretty amazing what a good blocking will do for something like this. And it's also pretty amazing for something that is 8 ounces. Like, 8, like this is whatever. So it's pretty amazing that something that's like 8 ounces of fiber has turned into such a cute little object, but that's sort of the double thickness going for it. And what I like about having it be blocked is that you can now see more of the variegated through the purple, and still has some really good contrast with the variegated side as well. So I am glad that this worked out, because I was nervous. Indeed. So the last thing I am showing you guys is something that's very nearly done, but not quite. It's becoming a little bit of a pain and a little bit unworkable, but this is my Ross Farms Hog Island that I'm spinning on my KCL Woodworks convertible spindle, or like, maybe it's called like the Super Combo or something like that. So it's something that can work as a drop spindle or a supported spindle. And I am so close to being done. I probably did like half of what the remainder was at Knit Night Friday night, and I haven't worked on it since, so there is that. I will be winding this on a Nostipin for applying, and I'll probably apply it on my wheel for simplicity. So it is coming along nicely. It's so close to being done. This is probably the one that I was most concerned about finishing in time for Spin the Din. What I didn't bring upstairs with me was my fiber optic and knitting and color combo spin. That one will also need to get done. Hopefully there'll be a nice block of quiet time this week in order to do that. Would it be everyone's coming? Probably need to do some cleaning in preparation for the nonsense. As you do. But really, it would be nice to get everything wrapped up pretty soon. I did end up getting flagged in the airport for this again. I have not yet tried disassembling it and seeing if I can get it through security, no problems. So, but nearly there, or would it be much closer to being there on that project. And that is what I have going. So this was a surprise project. I had decided on a whim to grab all the things necessary in order to work on it, and I would be very excited to no longer have the yarn in my stash. I'm debating whether or not there is enough yarn available that I can make some sort of crazy topological hat. I know that Martina Ben has one that I think would look very cute. That I could use up the remainder of my acrylic scraps on. It's been fun to work on some shorter projects, for sure. We shall see. It appears that my remote location has resulted in success, but I don't know. Like, it's always an interesting challenge when, or what would it be, when you're spending vacation days, like, okay, was it worth it? So, fairly soon, hopefully things will be revealed, which would be good. As you do. Let's see. I guess I'm just going to be very excited when I am done with this bag of acrylic, because I don't even know if it counts for anything in my stash at this point. I've done a pretty good job of using it up. Alright, other things. So, something that I totally neglected to mention in past weeks is that I did end up getting in the lottery, or my name was pulled in the lottery for SSK, so I will be doing the on-site in 2019, so I'm very excited about that. I didn't even get off the list last year. It never made it. Which, whatever, such is life. I never got pulled. So, as a part of that, I am participating in the knit along. So, we are doing a whip tag. And the thought process behind the whip tag is that you end up spending you spend an hour working on a whip, any whip, and you're a part of a team. So it is the case where I was tagged around 7:30 today, which was probably okay. So I will need to finish putting in my time. I got a decent amount of my hour in. And then after, so it'd be the case where it's a relay. So I will work an hour because I got tagged by the person before me, and then I always tag the same person after me, and then they get to work for an hour and they tag the fourth person. So then we go around in a circle, around and around and around. What makes it maybe a little bit challenging is, like, I don't often get to knit during work hours. It appears that, what would it be, one of the people in our group is a nurse, so she does not get to knit for whole 48-hour segments of time, or maybe even more than that, I'm not sure. So, so you have up to 5 days in order to get your hour in, and I think all of us are boku knitter, or enough boku knitters that it's generally not an issue. But it's definitely hard when you go into like a long segment where it's like, we lost a person and it will be a long time before they come back. But it has been an interesting thing to sort of like be more mindful of the time that you end up spending knitting, and maybe being more cognizant of what you're doing and when and that sort of thing. So it's been interesting, especially at times when I wouldn't normally knit, to then get the tag, you're like, oh, someone is counting on me. I better get going. So I'll probably end up needing to knit maybe like 20 more minutes, I think, in order for it to really count. Thankfully, during that time, I will probably be waiting for the podcast to do stuff. As you do. I'm really hoping this is long enough soon. It's been a little bit rough on the hands knitting worsted held doubled on sixes, so as you do. So that has been an interesting inspiration for my crafting time. And it really makes me hope for, those times, like when you do have a nice big block of time, that would be the time that I would get to be tagged. This worked out once, because I was like sitting at the airport last week, like ready to rock and roll, and the tag did come in time so that I was able to do my hour, which I was doing anyways, and then get the tag out to the next person. So, before I was in Incommunicado, but it does end up being an interesting thing to sort of understand, like, when are you incommunicado? When are you spending time crafting? How much time do you spend crafting when you do craft? So, I just found it to be an interesting study in that, because what would it be? Because I don't normally participate in competitions like this, but it has been interesting and fun to do, so I think that was the point. So, but, what would it be? I'm super, super duper excited that I'm going to get to go, and, what would it be? Hopefully I can manage all of that with everything else that's going on. So, lots of craziness. Because I think my original plans are going to change. It's not like I was super duper like many things, it's all tentative, so it just became what would it be now, just slightly awkward. Yeah. So, now I'm gonna have to like really dig through this ball to figure out what color ends up making sense. hopefully that won't be too hard, but it's definitely not something to do on the podcast. So, let's see. I will be able to record next week. Hopefully, I will be able to do that. Yeah, I should be able to record next week, but things are going to probably be weird for the week after, or for the next 2 weeks. Who knows? It might just be the case where I just need to take a break near Christmas, and that's the only break I need to take. It seems plausible. Now that I'm like sitting down and looking at the calendar, I think it'll be alright. So shouldn't be too crazy, but I think I normally take off around that anyway. So glad things are coming into place. And even if it is weird, it's quite possible that I'll end up recording on, what would it be? It's quite possible that I could record on New Year's Day as well, or do like a bonus episode about the big stash tosh that I do every year on New Year's Day. So I'll have to start that one early. I don't know, would you guys be interested in an episode like that? It'll probably also involve like me taking photos and you're like, oh crap, how did I miss this? Because I know for a fact I am missing stuff in my stash. Well, or let's just put it this way. The difference between me and the Dear Sweet Lovable one is that when I need something, I know exactly where it is. And I can go find it. So when it comes to like my stash and my books and my clothing and I don't know, like kitchen stuff, I don't know, stuff like that, I know what I have, I know where it is, I know exactly where I can find it. So it makes life easier that way. I'm not so sure that the Dear Sweet Lovable one can say the same thing about his stuff, so whatever. So, if you guys would be interested in a stash episode for the new year, I'm more than happy to set that up. It's going to be super duper quiet that day, so as long as the light holds, and even then, that's what the studio lights are for. I love the studio lights. They really help out a lot. So, let me know in the episode thread what you guys think. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.